What is going on, guys? It's Kevin here with ModMyMods, and it is a lovely Friday afternoon. It is actually relatively warm out today here in New York, which is kind of nice because we typically do not get this type of warm weather ever. So, thanks for joining us today on the ModMyMods news update. Today we have a couple little things that I'd like to talk about. A new segment that I'm going to share with you guys, and even I got a fancy dancy new shirt. How awesome is this? So big shout out goes out to Travis at Shellback Tech. Again, look at this. Big Kevin, look at that. Even our name's even on it, right on my butt. So I thought that was pretty sweet. I am now officially part of the Shellback Tech crew, which is awesome. Make sure that you guys go take a look at Travis and what he's doing. Shellback_tech on Instagram and on Facebook and all sorts of things. It's pretty awesome what he's doing. He's doing all sorts of charity builds for disabled veterans and first responders. And without him and some of the things that he's doing, you wouldn't actually see a lot of the different builds that are on our stream. So I appreciate you sending us out one of these shirts. Again, it's awesome. It's got my number on the back. It's sweet. So thank you again. And thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about a little bit of what's going on in the news, which isn't really a whole heck of a lot. And then I actually have a new segment. So let's dive right on into it. So first and foremost, it is a lovely day in New York because, well, fancy us, we got to reopen today. Well, partially reopen today. The 15th, which is today, was one of the landmark days for New York State to actually reopen some of the places that are that have been closed. So like they're doing like curbside retail, and they're now allowing like more restaurants to be open and that type of thing. But again, it's all for pickup and pickup only so far as I know. But you're supposed to still wear a mask. You're supposed to still maintain a safe distance, and basically stay away from everybody else that you don't know and haven't really been in contact with because, well, who knows? It's supposedly still spreading, and we don't want that to happen again. There is a whole guide about that I was actually just reading through about how we're supposed to move. That guy. We're supposed to move forward, and what you're supposed to do, and how like doctors and nurses are put on 100 hours a week, saving. I mean, there's some good information in here. It's an unbelievably long actual PDF that you can download and you can look at. Honestly, we don't really need to do that. But the cool part is that the Finger Lakes region, which is us, we're relatively low on the numbers here in comparison to a lot of other places, which is good. So yay, go us, right? Oh well, we're open. We're still working. We're still shipping. So again, that's something cool for us. So it's 2 days ago, no, 3 days ago, something like that. Basically, this article that was on Real Hardware Reviews got me thinking about monitors and how I kind of needed to upgrade my system and push forward and get a new monitor. So I ordered one, and unfortunately, they didn't exactly ship it. So I went and I was like, well, the Asus Tough Gaming monitor isn't too bad. Let's take a look at it. And so I did. And I looked at the Tough monitors. I thought it was cool, 32-inch curved. It doesn't have to be 4K for me. I'm not really, crazy about it. So I went to go order one, and it was sold out. So I'm like, okay, well, let me check Newegg. Let's see if it's sold out there. Yep, it's sold out there. Okay, well, let's check Staples. Oh, we have 7 in stock. All right, cool. Let me order one. As soon as I ordered it, I was happy, got the confirmation. Everything was good and gravy. And then the following day, I got a refund immediately. So some places that are saying that they are in stock are not actually in stock, so just buyer beware. Also, when you're buying stuff like these monitors from Newegg and from Amazon, it may not actually be coming from Newegg or Amazon. This one is obviously by VPC, which is obviously some third-party distributor or whatever, but it is available and potentially could be there on Thursday. but also could be there somewhere between Friday the 29th too. So, take it for what it's worth. If you do end up trying to buy a monitor, just be careful because some of them might not actually be available. So, that being said, that's kind of what my trial and tribulation was for this week. However, I got an awesome email from the captain, actually, who watches the show, and had a great idea about doing a new segment. So today, what we figured we would do is a little products 101. So, as you guys remember, we did a build for. Why can't I find it here? It was right here. It used to. Oh, there it is. We did a build for a local customer here that originally turned out well. That's what he brought us, and then we ended up revamping it and making it look really awesome. And used a whole bunch of different parts and chrome tubing and fittings and the polished water cooled block. So what I figured we could do today is not everybody might everybody might not know what we're working with when it comes to the chrome tubing and the fittings and that type of stuff. So I wanted to do a little bit of products 101. Talk about the products that we do sell on our website and the products that you can use to get the same exact effect. In my hand, what I actually have is I have a couple pieces here. These are two pieces of the chrome tubing, exactly like what you see right there in front of you, that you can find on our website. Now, there's supposedly two different styles of chrome tubing. There's like a black chrome and a regular chrome. However, they're supposed to be doing away with that, and it's supposed to be only chrome. Now, there are rumors that the entire whole chrome tubing thing will go away completely. However, I haven't actually gotten confirmation of that yet. So, for the time being, what we do have is the 13 millimeter by 10 millimeter tubing. This is the brass chrome is what they call it, and it's sold in straight lengths as well as the 90s. And what I have here is this is actually one of the 40 centimeter versions here, and it comes polished. This one has fingerprints all over it because, well, I was screwing with it and touching with it and doing all sorts of things with this tubing before we actually started the show here. But I wanted to show you that we do still have some of this in stock. The 90s are pre-bent 90s, and this one obviously has been cut and modified for what we were doing for the last build that you just saw. But we do have 90-degree pre-bent sections here, and just so you know, you can't, because it is brass and it's chrome, you're not going to really be able to bend this very well, if at all, really. So bending these is almost near impossible. That's why if you actually look at some of the photos that we took here, all of the bends they're 90s. They're just straight turns. There's no actual like S bends. Like for example, this inline filter here, which I will also talk about in a second, is the way that we joined two 90-degree pieces together. It is just kind of something that would be an easy way to not only use the 90-degree pre-bents, but also give a good effect and join the two pieces together and not look hideous. So, that being said, there are fittings that are specifically designed to work with this tubing. I have one in my hand here. I'll take it out and show you. The I forgot how they actually phrase it. Let me look here. Yeah, 4 brass. That's why I had it highlighted here. They come in black and chrome. They're only 13 millimeter, but the difference is they actually have a ring on the inside, a brass ring that's supposed to secure the tubing down into it a little bit more than a typical your standard fitting. Let's see if I can show you here. So inside of the fitting, it's actually like a brass ring. You can kind of see it there. The brass ring allows it to secure down tightly around the edges here of the brass tubing. Now, in order to use the fitting correctly, obviously you have it separated. It's pulled apart, and there is a O-ring that is on the inside of the fitting, as well as an O-ring that's on the inside of the collar here. And the O-ring that's on the inside of the collar is very important. It's a little bit thicker and bigger than most of the other O-rings that you'd see on a hard to build, just because you're using it on metal. And the way that these secure down is just like any other fitting. You have the fitting, the tubing, the O-ring, the brass piece, or sorry, not the brass piece, the O-ring, and then the brass piece, and it all goes in together. Now the brass tubing itself, you can cut it and to different lengths, obviously. However, what you need to do is actually use one of these really industrial grade type of cutters. Um, they have to it has to be like a really sharp edge, and it needs to be relatively sturdy in order to cut it all the way through. So the hard tubing cutter is also available on our website. It is relatively expensive for what it is, but it's actually I know you can't really hear that, but it's made out of metal, and it's powder coated, and it has a nice metal handle on it, so it's not like plastic or anything like that. But you use that to cut down your different tubing sizes and make it actually work. The one key part of tubing and making sure that you have nice inserts and making sure that the seal stays properly around it is that you want to have a nice edge. Now on this piece of plexi, this acrylic piece right here, you can kind of see that I have it a little bit chamfered on the edges here. And basically, you'll be using a tubing reamer in order to make it work. With the metal tubing, you also need to use a tubing reamer. And we suggest using one of the big heavy duty ones from Alpicool. Now, this one is red just because it comes with the eyes coffer kit that I have sitting over here. But it is the same thing as the Eyes Tools Strong Guy. The Strong Guy is the exact same thing, it's just powder coated black instead of red. But you have an inner, nice pointy side to ream the inside of the tubing, and then you use the outer triangle to make sure that you have a nice edge all the way around it. Now, this tubing piece on this end, you can see, isn't really it's hard to see. The camera doesn't necessarily want to focus, but it's hard to see that it's not chamfered at all. And right off the bat, the straight pieces do have an edge that is completely rounded off and will seat nicely and properly. However, when you cut it to length, you're going to need to use the tubing reamer and actually get in there and get it to sit nicely and get a nice chamfered edge, which I'll just do relatively quickly here. It sounds horrible, but once you start to see, again, it's hard to see with the camera. I was trying to get another camera set up here so you could see this a little bit closer. Maybe I'll do that for next week's show. But the chamfered edge here actually does start to smooth out and go around the edges. That way, when you put it actually into the fitting here, it's not going to gouge up your O-rings. Now, because this is metal tubing, it is definitely going to cut some stuff. It is probably going to mar up some of your O-rings, so you got to be very careful. Because it's a lot stronger than this acrylic stuff and the PETG, it definitely will go through O-rings like nobody's business. And theoretically, that's why they give you extra O-rings to replace what you've messed up. Now, the O-ring that you're probably going to mess up the most, it's not the O-ring that goes around the edge, but it's the O-ring that goes on the inside here. Now, Alphacool doesn't exactly sell those O-rings. However, we do have some on our website that might work for that application for the 13 mil tubing. However, there's no real guarantee until you try it, right? So it's always trial and error when it comes to doing custom stuff like that. Again, with the metal tubing, the hard tubing, like we did on this customer's build here, it's very difficult to get it right the first time. So there was some trial and error, and there were some extra pieces that we did need to cut up and do a little bit differently and do over. You know, you're never going to get it right the first time around, or if you do, you're a lot better off than we are. But 90% of the time, you're not really going to get it perfect. So luckily with the tubing reamer and trial and error, you'll actually be able to get these dialed in relatively decently to a way where they actually will line up and be nice tubing runs for you when you put them together. The last bit that I had was these blocks are actually from Watercool. These are the polished ones, the stainless steel ones, I think is what they call them. They're the polished nickel ones. I don't have a link for them set up right this second, but what I can do is I can show you those in a second here. But what I wanted to show you was the inline filter. Somebody had asked me about it, and they thought it was a flow meter, and it's actually not. It's a Baro quart glass filter. They come in black and they come in chrome, and they come right apart, and they do have different filters in different thicknesses and tightness on the actual filter material that you can put in there, and we have those again in black and in chrome. Now let me go to mods and I will show you the water blocks here, which are in GPU water blocks. And so the one that he was using is actually for a 1080, and the reason that I know that is because of the design. The 2080 version has like a different acrylic cutout here, but I'll show you for the 1080, and then I can show you for the 2080 as well. So on our side here, you go down to 2080 or find your graphics card, and in this case, we're going to go to. Oh, that's why I got to go to the 1080, 1070 because you can use both with the water cool blocks. So you go to the manufacturer, you go to water cool, and he has the acrylic nickel. That's what it's actually called, and that is the shiny version of the block here, and it looks great. The way that he has it all set up and aligned here, especially with the vertical standoff, looks pretty cool. And then the water block itself is actually also a water cool acrylic nickel, and it's for the AMD block. So if you go to AMD blocks over here, let the site load for a second, go to the manufacturer, change it to water cool, and what will pop up is the different versions of the water block here. And what he has is the copper nickel. As you see, there's a version that is acrylic that also has like a polished part on it as well. But he has the full polished version, which is the copper nickel. And again, it's for the AMD socket. Now, if you have one of these blocks and you want to change out from AMD to Intel, because, well, AMD will probably burn your house down and Intel might not, you can actually just get brackets that will change out. So you can still use the same water block, but what you would do is you'd get the different ears for it. Ears, I call them, but they're mounting CPU brackets and backplates, I think is where you would go. You can go to brackets and backplates. You go to the manufacturer here, go to water cool. And then there it is. You have the conversion kit for the 2011, for the AMD, even for the Threadripper too. They actually make a Threadripper block. I would not suggest using the Heatkiller 4 block for it. I would actually use the TR4 Threadripper block that Watercool actually designed specifically for that. But again, if you're trying to convert from AMD to Intel or Intel to AMD, they have brackets here for it. That way you don't have to go out and buy a new block. You can use the same water cool awesome block that you already have. Again, that's pretty much what you have here inside of this. That's kind of what I wanted to go over with the products here. The adapter fittings are just Alpha Cool or their Baro 90 degrees, and then you have these the brass preferred fittings that we use throughout the entire build here. Now, if there's anything else that you guys saw inside this build or something else, any other products that you want me to go over and want to talk about, I'd be more than happy to help you out and figure out a way that we can bring that into the show. Again, that's kind of why I wanted to do Products 101, talk about some of the things that you may have seen, but you don't really know too much about and that you want to get more info on. So, That's pretty much what I had for today. I just wanted to show you guys some of the products, some of the parts that we're using. My nice nandy douche and my handy dandy shirt. I love it. That's great. Thank you again, Travis here. And if you guys have any suggestions, concerns, complaints, or just want to say hi, definitely shoot me a message, send me an email, whatever, and we'll definitely figure out something that we can get incorporated into the show, or fix it or make it better for you guys. Again, this has hopefully been an educational and somewhat entertaining little bit of time, but that is it for today. So it is a lovely Friday. Go enjoy the outside if it's nice and warm out. If it's not nice and warm out, wait a day, it might change. But other than that, stay safe out there, and we will catch up with you next week.